Hey, Address Teen Stress. I'm Abba Shrestha, and welcome back to our Beyond the Brain series, where we interview health professionals and experts about mental health in order to get a deeper insight of different aspects of stress and mental well-being. Today, I'm here with the Director of Youth and Young Adult Initiatives at NAMI, Jennifer Rothman. Jennifer, can you please start off by telling me a little bit about yourself and your background?
Sure, thank you. So I have been with NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness, for a combined total of almost 17 years. I came out of college with my general psychology degree and found a position at NAMI North Carolina, which is one of our state organizations. And I was able to work there for 8 years, working on youth and young adult mental health and addressing the needs for resources for families, educators, and other adults interested in supporting a young person with a mental health condition. And then in 2016, I took a position with the national office, which is where I've been working now and doing a lot of the same work. But what's interesting is that I get to share all of that work with our 49 state organizations and over 650 local NAMI affiliates. So it's a great role, and something that I'm really proud of my work and glad that I was able to continue working with NAMI for this long.
Yeah, and can you tell us a little bit more about NAMI and your current role there, as well as how does your work intersect with supporting youth and young adults' mental health?
Sure. So, like I had mentioned, NAMI stands for the National Alliance on Mental Illness. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to working with individuals who are affected by a mental health condition, but also those who love and support them. So we are a federated model where we have our 49 state organizations and then over 650 local affiliates. So what that might look like is, like I'd mentioned, we have NAMI North Carolina, runs their own state office, their own 501(c)(3). And then I live in Wake County, and there's a NAMI Wake County. So you might have an affiliate right there in your backyard, or maybe a few cities over, but they all work together to support, educate, advocate, raise awareness, and just come together as a group to really understand the effects of mental health conditions and to let you know that you are not alone. My position specifically as the director of youth and young adult initiatives is we bring the voice, perspectives, and opinions of youth and young adults. So we do that through different resources and initiatives like our back to school campaign that we run every year, where we include information for teens, younger students through providing information for their parents and caregivers. We have things for educators to help them better understand the mental health of their students. We also have different initiatives like our college guide, which is an online site that we created in partnership with the Jed Foundation to really provide resources to college age students who, are just getting into that transition from high school to college life, being away from home, and just really giving them the opportunity for a successful first couple of years on campus. And really anyone in college could use these resources. They go over mental health, they talk about relationships and setting boundaries and working with your professors. And we even recently launched an educator section of the college guide so that professors as well could really work mental health into their classrooms and add things to their syllabi. Um, and just different resources that we share and partner. And the biggest piece in how we work with youth and young adults really is we have a NAMI Next Gen advisory group. This is our fourth year, I believe. I believe so. Our fourth year of having 10 young adults serve for an entire year as part-time NAMI employees. And they help create different resources and initiatives and campaigns. They provide their perspectives to us. If we're working on something, we run that by them and they share with us how we can maybe change it to better suit youth and young adults. Um, they work in advocacy. They help us with our TikTok videos and different things on social media. And it's just amazing to actually have the youth voice because we say nothing about us without us. So that's a little bit of a snippet of NAMI and what myself and my team does.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's awesome that we have a platform like NAMI in order to talk about mental health and kind of expand that awareness. And as a first year college student, I definitely think that college guide is something that I can like look at with my friends, but that's awesome. But talking a little bit more about mental health, what are some of the biggest changes you've seen in teen mental health in the recent years? And what are some of those factors do you think are contributing to these shifts?
Would say in the time that I have spent with NAMI and really addressing mental health, I think there's been a few changes, definitely in that since the pandemic, we are hearing much more about teen mental health. And it's sort of we always knew it was there, that our youth and our young adults were struggling. So even prior to the pandemic, we certainly were putting a lot of effort into trying to address the needs of youth and young people around their mental health and their wellness, mainly wanting to just talk about mental health and mental health conditions, let them know what it looks like, and that, when do they reach out for help and who should they go to? And so that was always NAMI's main um, main focus. And then the pandemic hit, and it seemed to be that there was just a huge spotlight on the mental health of our students and young people because of how the pandemic affected their everyday lives. It affected everyone's lives. So we were seeing more and more how adults were being affected, what was going to be happening with our students because of this huge change in what they were expecting in terms of their school life. And we just, thankfully, that spotlight has really stuck around. So we're hearing more about it. And I think some of that shift might just have to do with the generations now that are struggling and noticing some mental health symptoms. They feel more empowered to speak up, I feel, and they are recognizing that, this isn't, I don't have to feel this way. There's other people who are struggling, because I think finally all of the work of NAMI and other mental health organizations are really starting to spread and get out there. And they want to be able to make that change. They don't want to struggle in silence with mental health conditions. They want to receive treatment. They want to receive the treatment that is right for them, and they want to be able to lead successful lives and do well in school and in their community. And I think we just have more people who are coming around and wanting to support that.
And talking about generalized mental health in general, how would you explain mental health in just 3 words? And what would that be and why?
Mental health in 3 words. Oh my goodness. I would say biological, uh, treatment, and hope. And I chose biological because it's just like having any other condition. We talk about, individuals who might say they don't want to go on medication, or they don't want to go and speak to a therapist or receive treatment. And this is an illness of your brain. It's just like being told that you have diabetes or cancer or heart disease or COPD, any other condition, and you would more than likely accept treatment for those conditions. So why not a mental health condition? I chose treatment because there are so many different treatment options. Um, we there's your typical medication and therapy, but there's so much more popping up to really support the different needs of someone who has a mental health condition. And then hope, because there's always hope. There's always hope, and the earlier you can catch your mental health condition or that of a loved one, just so much more positive outcomes. And that's why we want to be talking about this, and why we appreciate your organization wanting to get this information out there, because everyone deserves to know that there's hope, there's treatment, and this is a condition like any other that deserves the attention and support.
And one thing that I feel like is a known fact by now that is a major influence on teen mental health is social media. So, from your perspective, has it had more of a positive or negative impact? And what do you think teens can do to manage these effects?
I will say that prior to really being able to sit down and speak with our NAMI Next Gen advisory groups and hearing their sides of it, prior to that, I would have said that social media had more of a negative effect. And this is because I didn't have the perspective of young people today. I have two biological daughters myself, and I have a stepdaughter and a stepson, all different ages. And I see the effect that cell phones and social media and apps and iPads, I see that effect on them. But what I didn't understand was that, there's people who really rely on social media as their community. That's where they find their people, their support. And more, you can find that you aren't alone in this struggle, which really brings that feeling of hope and the motivation to really push through, because you know that others are going through this. So I think it it's kind of a struggle to say. I think in some ways, if you don't protect yourself on social media, if you're not mindful of how much time you're spending on social media, and the what would I say the word is? Um, the priorities, like if you're making social media your priority, I do feel like there can be negative effects from that. Certainly, if you're finding that you're on social media for hours on end and doing the death scrolling, it's much better for you to hop up and try to get outside if it's not too cold, or do something else that brings you joy, that doesn't involve looking at a screen and social media. But also, finding your community, finding out, information that maybe you're just not in a space yet to ask about, of your friends or family, coworkers, or different professionals, but using social media as a tool for that so that you feel that support.
Looking ahead, what do you hope for the future of mental health support for teens, and what changes do you think need to be made to improve these mental health resources for young people in the coming years?
So, for mental health support for teens, looking ahead, I would say my hope is that we have more peer-to-peer support. Well, we know that teens and young people in general really like to go to their friends as their support system. I think we are hearing a little bit more that teens do feel comfortable in some instances to go to their parents or other trusted adults, because they feel comfortable in knowing that those trusted adults probably have the most up-to-date information, and have more experience and would understand the next steps, if you're struggling with a mental health condition. But I think teens need to be around other teens who might be going through the same thing, and whether that looks like just a weekly gathering in different places, doing different activities, and then, being able to really blend in discussions around self-care and mindfulness, maybe meditation, and just talking about mental health conditions in general to sort of build that support. Um, and it's going to take the adults who oversee those support systems to really step back and build something that works the best for teens. And I'm sorry, what was the second question?
No worries. Talking about what needs to be improved with mental health resources for young people in the coming years.
Sure. I think for resources, we really need to, and NAMI is still honestly trying to figure all of this out. We keep coming up with different, medias to get it to them, or, just try to, finding the best way to reach young people. And while right away you think social media and online, it takes a lot of work to get a following from teens. And with NAMI being an organization that serves a wide range of ages and needs, it can be really tough to get that following from teenagers. So um, I think just getting them the information that they need, the information that they want in a way that they want it, that they want to receive it. And, just realizing that it might not be our typical way of doing things, and that's okay.
Can you share your perspective on what you think today's current state of teen mental health and stress is like compared to when you were a teenager?
You know, it's tough because even just yesterday, I was talking with my 16-year-old daughter. She's currently trying to find a job because she's driving, and her father and I have discussed, we'd like her to put a certain percentage of what she makes toward her car insurance, and she has to be able to pay for her gas, and trying to build up some of these responsibilities, because before we know it, she'll be out of the house and going to college, or wherever she decides to go. And just trying to talk with her, she's like, you don't understand. I'm applying everywhere, nobody's hiring, and I can't tell you how often she says that I just don't get it. And it's tough because we all like to think that we get it. um so I think teens they're struggling. There's, between school stressors, the stress of the economy, and wondering, if I go to college, am I going to be able to come out and get a job? And if I come out and get a job, can I afford a place to live? And what does that look like? And, you know, what does work look like for teens and young people? They want to be able to do something that they enjoy and that makes a difference, but they also really um, they feel strongly about, their social lives and what they're doing in their communities. So I think it's definitely different from when I was a teen, in that, everything just seemed so perfectly laid out. Like if you don't go to college, then you right away you get a job or you can go into the military. Then when you get out of college, you get your job. And so things just, I don't think are as much laid out for teens of today as they were for me. And I know that that is tough. And what I hope is that you have supportive adults, whether it's parents, caregivers, other family members, who just are able to be that support system for teens as they navigate, just what life looks like for them in the coming years.
And my last question to you is, what advice would you give to someone out there that's struggling with their mental health, or like some kind of message you'd like to leave with our Address Teen Stress audience?
Well, I couldn't end this without saying you are not alone. We say, Yana, you are not alone. And it's very true. In my time with NAMI, which has been many, many years, I've even noticed how much I've needed NAMI. When I was growing up, I had a parent with a severe mental illness that affected my childhood and what things looked like for me. And through the years with NAMI, I've been able to meet so many people, all different ages, backgrounds, experiences, who have that same experience. And it's just that feeling of it wasn't just me. Other people have struggled with this and they're here now, or they've been able to work through these things and, are living successfully and happily. And just, find your community, find people who understand, find people who are not going to um, judge you for who you are, because you should be able to be your authentic self, whether that is with a mental health condition, without a mental health condition, possibly another disability, different thoughts, belief systems. Everybody deserves to, be surrounded by people who support them and love them for who they are. And if you think you're struggling with a mental health condition, reach out and talk to somebody about it. And if you go to an adult and they're not open to it, go to another adult and just keep looking for someone to listen and to offer support, because there are options out there, many different options for getting help so that you can continue doing what you love the most.
All right. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for talking to us today about mental health and your experience with it throughout your professional career, as well as helping us address teen stress.